All right, so I'm excited about this training. The only time I've done this training is for my personal coaching clients, so those that have done Run with Rob. And so I thought this is just perfect to go along with the planner. So we're going to talk about the strategy planner tracker. And the reason why I say that is because the goal is to make it more than just a planner. My goal is to create a community from this where we can see what works, what doesn't work. We can create accountability from it, as there's a Google form that you can fill out, as there's going to be recognition that we're going to be doing consistently in the bigger group, the game of networking, but you're going to get that recognition in that massive group that will help you, because we know the power of accountability. We know the power of recognition. And so now we got to have trainings that go along with this specifically. So the first thing is I'm going to pull this up. And if you open up, if you have your planner and your tracker with you, you can see these things right here. And it doesn't matter if you can read them or not, because if you're going through your papers, you can read it. So it says, let's get you focused. So what's your number one focus for these next few months? And you can start listing things out on this. And then if you want to, as you get more deliberate, maybe at the bottom, you can create, the main focuses. Because sometimes, right, we're just spitballing, we're just like throwing tons of information out. What drives and inspires and excites you about achieving your network marketing goals? The reason why this is so important is because good leaders have vision, great leaders give vision. So it starts out with having a vision. You don't lack motivation, you lack vision. Think about that. You don't lack motivation, you lack vision. The example I always give is, let's say that you just walk outside of your house is on fire. There's a 50% chance you die if you go back in the house, but the person that you love the most is inside the house. What are you going to do? You're going to take the risk. And what you're going to do is you're going to go back in the house. Why? Because the vision is so clear that you don't want to live without that person. So you don't lack motivation, you lack vision. That's why these things are so important. Successful people just do the basics better. Write some words of encouragement for yourself to read during hard times. Why? Because you're going to go through those hard times. You got to remind yourself that you are worthy, that it is worth it, that you can do this. Right? For me, when I quit my job way too soon and went full-time in network marketing, I had to keep reminding myself that, hey, look, I committed to do this. I committed to do this for my family. I committed to do this for these future family, for my future goals and aspirations. And yeah, there were times when I lost, meaning I lost that battle of that day or that moment where I didn't do what I knew I was supposed to do. But I just kept battling and I won more than I lost. Now, when you go through the goal setting session, like, don't just look at that and say, yeah, these are things that are going to help you crush your business. This is a blueprint for you. So what do you want? Why do you want it? Right? That's important. That goes back to the vision. Who has done it? You can have virtual mentors. You can have mentors that are part of your business, part of other, network marketing companies. How did they accomplish it? This is reverse engineering. What are the obstacles? Spend 10% of your time there, 90% of the time on the solutions. When are you going to accomplish this goal? What are the rewards? And then these are things simple, right? You can create your own dream board, accountability, state them publicly, read them out loud. So we'll scroll through this more and then we'll get straight in the training. Monthly calendar, it's not dated. So if you want like a bigger picture view to put things, I just think there's so much power in writing things down. It's not, just writing them down. I constantly do it on a daily basis. I've got my big goals. I've got them created in this sheet of paper electronically, and then I take them and I make sure I write them down consistently. So this is the daily method of operation of the rich, of the successful in network marketing. And I've taken this DMO and I've just simplified it for you, so you can see that. And then what I've done is later, as you see the calendar view, you can see it's like a little point system at the bottom. We'll get into that in a second. So new prospects. Now you can start writing down the names and you can create your own little code. So you could write down the names and you don't circle them until you actually contact them, right? Your own little code. And then it's details, updates, dates, invites, right? When you made that, all of those little things. So you have that. And then right here is where we're going to write everything down. So the top income producing activities, right? What are your focuses for that specific day? Because too many times we do the fake work, and what our goal is we confuse being productive with being busy. So we create this goal of, I'm going to do a lot today, but then at the end of the day, you watch 12 Facebook Lives and you listen to 7 podcasts and you didn't do your top income producing activities. I want you making more money. So you're going to take these right here and you're going to write down every single day. Some days they may be the exact same. That's okay. Let's get you focused. And then I want you to map out your day. Everything. I know everything. If you need for lunch, let's say, how long is lunch? 30 minutes. If you need a nap or a break, put that in there. You know that, you feel like you need to recharge the batteries after X amount of time, or you're going to make new contacts. What time specifically and how long are you going to make new contacts? You're going to create social media content. What time? You're going to go to bed. What time? Your calendar is your boss, right? Now you're an entrepreneur. You got to do what you want when you want. So now you've got to make sure this calendar becomes your boss. So I have this week's focus. Again, this is all about focus. And then we've got down here the little point system. And this where you'll see with the Google form, this is where we're going to do some recognition based on some of these and some of your results and testimonials and different things. And that'll help you out tremendously. There's one study that says 96% more success when you have a specific accountability appointment. You want 96% more success? I've given you a blueprint. This helps all with it. So daily posts, you could put on that right there. You could put, 2, because maybe you made a post in a Facebook group and then you also did on your personal profile. Add leads, maybe you added 5 new leads on social media or 4 on social media and 1's a random person you met wherever at the grocery store. Non-business related conversations. You see, the money's in Messenger, and the top car salesman of all time that's documented, he outsold 95% of car dealerships. And the reason he said his top tip was this: all he did is stay in touch with people. Now, I'm not saying overdo it where that's what you do all day long, because if you do that, you're not going to be the income producing activities and you're not going to have success. But what I am saying is that if you do that, that will help you tremendously in your business as long as you focus in the right here, the red, invites. Invite people to look at your business, your products. This is where you need to spend 80% of your time. Don't fake work. We make the plan for the plan of the plan of the plan of the plan. This is where you need to spend 80% of your time. So you can mark down, I did 2, 3, 4, 5 follow-ups, and then personal development, how long you did personal development for, 20 minutes, 5 minutes, 2 minutes, 1 minute. You know what's great about this? And then you got notes over here on the side, on the bottom. And then you also, we'll go through this in a second, but you know what's great is imagine your team members. Doesn't matter if you've got thousands, tens of thousands on your team, or you only have 2 or 3 on your team, or maybe it's your future team because you don't have a team yet. If they're really serious about their business, you can come back and you can look at this, right? Let's say you chat with them and say, okay, let's see how we're doing. How'd you do on these DMOs, your daily method of operation? How'd you do? And you go through it and you go through their schedule and you can say, okay, well, it looks like you're just not making enough invites, or you're doing the invites, but you're not having as much success. So you mind sharing with me what you're saying in your invite? I want specifics. So now you get to actually just go through it. After, we have a weekly review. So my biggest wins, list at least 3. What can I do better this week? Who will I invite this week? Again, focus where you should spend 80% of your time. Rewrite part of your why, because we want it to become a bigger and bigger part of us. So rewrite part of your why as you go. So in the very, very back, what you'll see is there's pages and pages of notes that you can just write. And then of course we've got the journal as well that goes perfectly with it, so that you can just have everything. And then the journal, I kept it simple, action steps. So you can take notes, but then you always have your action steps as you go to make that happen. So probably should have had the PowerPoint off during that whole time, right? Didn't need the PowerPoint. But now let's go into how to manage your time and focus. And we'll go through this very, very quickly. So the balance myth, there's no such thing as balance. Balance is a complete myth. When you have a new baby, you're not balanced. When someone's going to med school, they're not balanced. It's just, you can't be perfectly balanced. So the key is to figure out where you're the most out of balance, right? Maybe it's you're the most out of balance of you got to make more money to provide for family or kids or whatever it is. Maybe you're most out of balance in a marriage. Maybe you're most out of balance in a different relationship. So the key is you figure out what your priorities are, and then you lift up from the bottom. And from that, what I do is, and I'll cover a little bit of this later, but I'm just going to say what's on the top of my mind is you create your minimums. So I always create my minimums no matter what. What do you mean? So here's an example. I've got minimum, I'm going to do personal development every day. I haven't missed it for 14 years, not one single day. Minimum, I'm going to do spiritually. I'm going to read something spiritually every day. I've only missed one day in the last 14 years. So mad I missed that day. Prayers, right? For me, it could be meditation for you. You could say that stuff's not important to me, whatever. I haven't missed in 14 years. Date night, I do every single week when I'm in town. I have specific things that I do with my kids. I have specific amounts of vacations that I'm able to do now because of time and financial freedom that I set. So I've got all these minimums. At the same time, there's different times that I focus. So December 2020, I worked on average 2 hours a day. That was it. Because I took my son for 2 weeks to Dubai, because then I had Christmas, New Year's, all these different things, right? Well, fast forward, there are other months where it's just insane amounts of work. So you see, I create my minimums, and then I've got my focus, depending on what's most important. And sometimes the focus isn't an entire month. It could be just for that day. It could be for a week. So for me, I've got my schedule. I know that Monday through Thursday, I crank. I slow down in the evenings and just completely, for the most part, shut off right around 6-ish. And there's things that sometimes happen between 2 and 6. Maybe I'm taking my kids to tennis, doing tennis with the kids. And then I'll end up watching a show with my wife, typically about 9, where we just unwind, hang out. The younger kids are in bed. The older kids are not in bed yet. And then on Friday at 2, I pretty much completely unplug, don't do much. I've got everything scheduled and planned for that. I'll maybe work an hour on Saturday. That said, I don't work on Sunday. But Monday until Friday at 2, I am all out, just nuts, crazy focus. That's my schedule. Everybody's a little bit different. I obsess in the extremes. You got to figure out what works best for you. So I want to have a little perspective on guilt, because a lot of people just have different senses of guilt. Well, I feel guilty because I'm away from this and that, and maybe you're away from a spouse or for some kids. Look, I can't go in depth on that for you personally, because everybody's different. For me, that's why I had to create the minimums and make sure that my family knew how important they were. At the same time, my goal was to get them to buy in my vision to what I was going to create, how hard it was going to be, but how worth it was going to be. And there were times when I wasn't sure if it was going to work out, right? That's part of the fears and struggles we go through. But now, fast forward, I've done a minimum of 7 family vacations 4 years in a row, right? That to me is what my goal was, one of my huge goals and aspirations. So when you're walking towards the sun, then that would be looking at it from a positive standpoint of just progress. And when I turn away from the sun, now all of the sudden my shadow consumes me. It's no longer behind me. And that's the negative shame. So for you, all you can do is all you can do. Progress. I had a really good friend. Let's go back. We'll go to that in a second. Really, really good friend that just told me this. We were in a private mastermind, and he said this to me. He said, Rob, I create New Year's resolutions, but I'm not stuck on them. So what do you mean? He said, well, he said 2 weeks into my New Year's resolution, I had already broken it. And he said, instead of beating myself up, all I did is I sat down and started meditating and started thinking, okay, why did I not achieve this? Why did I already break this New Year's resolution? How can I recalibrate, reset, and still accomplish it? You see how the difference between guilt's good because it tells you what's right and wrong, but then shame, negative guilt, turns into all consuming where you don't do anything about it. So instead, feel a little bit of guilt when you don't do what's right, but stop focusing on that and focus on what you can do better. As far as focus goes, remember there are needers, wanters, and deservers. The needers, right? Those are the people that need your time so bad, and the wanters, they want it so bad. Needing and wanting isn't wrong, but you got to deserve it. You need to spend 80+% of your time with the deservers, not with the needers and wanters. I'm a recovering people pleaser. I spent too much time with everyone. And by doing that, what happened was I ended up taking away time from the deservers. And so I thought I was being so supportive by being there for everyone every second. But in the end, it hurt my ability to create a bigger organization, to hit higher ranks. which means if I'm not hitting higher ranks, that means that I'm helping less people, because achieving more ranks and more money means you're helping more people in network marketing. That's what's great about it. So a couple different time hacks that I do to eliminate distractions is I have no email notifications. I haven't had them for over 2 years now. I don't get email notifications. You can schedule in your calendar when you're going to check your email. I turn off whichever technology I'm not using. So for example, if I don't need Facebook, or I don't need Instagram, or I don't use Twitter for business, but I use it for me personally to consume, so no one can follow me, but I use it to consume information, that's my big distraction. So I have to log out of it. I figure out what my focuses are from the planner, and then I go make it happen. So that's something that you want to do. Some of the other things as you go is in my family knows when I've got specific work times, right? If you have a family, sometimes you just got to let them know. Maybe you put a sign on your office. Maybe you go into your car and that's your office and you got to get out. But you got to eliminate distractions so that you can focus and figure out what those tasks are that you're going to get done and make them happen. Because multitasking is a myth. I don't want you to go from here to here to here to here. I want you to be laser focused as you go. So those are a couple short term. Some long-term ones is every single time on social media, if someone bothers me, I block, unfriend, or unfollow them. Sometimes on social media, I'll snooze them. Sometimes it's even a family member and I just get annoyed. Shame on them the first time, shame on me every single time after. So what I'll do is a lot of times I'll just unfollow them, for example, on Facebook, but I'm still friends with them. Or I won't see their content. Right on Instagram, I'll do the same thing. I say friends so I don't cause drama, and then I don't see their content. Turn off as many notifications you can. So if I make a comment on a post, instantly I'll go click on the top right corner of that little post. You see that little small icon. Is it the upside down triangle or the down triangle or the three dots? I don't know. You know what I'm talking about. And I turn off notifications right away. I unsubscribe to emails every single day that I don't find value in. I already told you I turn off notifications on emails and posts and different things. I eliminate as many distractions as I possibly can. The other thing that I do is I create a priority to-do list. So you can do this in your notes. And then what you can do is you can come back for the next day and create what your priorities are. But before I go to bed, I write down what my priorities are. And I've got a longer list. And I look at my calendar and I restructure what I think my top 3 or 4 priorities are. And then what you can do is you can look at them again in the morning, and then you can write those down at the very top of your planner, as I showed you earlier, of what your top priorities are. And that'll help you out a ton. Time blocking, you've got to know what your income producing activities are. I already gave you a great daily method of operation that will help you out tremendously. You got to schedule in your IPAs, and then you got to find your flow. So let me give an example. For me personally, my energy starts to leave at about 2 p.m. So I typically, what I do is I will schedule my trainings at 2, 3, and 4 p.m. because you're like, well, Rob, your energy's down. No, my energy's still there for those. I mean, my creative energy, that stuff, I've done so many, it's easy. So I don't schedule much before 2 p.m. because that's when I want to get my stuff done. And then I'll time block for exactly what it is I need to do. Like, for example, for this training, I time blocked this training a week ago for today at this specific time and did my own little, studies and went through it, my own little, okay, this and this and this, I got to make sure I cover this, my little scrabble notes that I go through. And then I said, okay, now I'm ready. So this was one of my focuses today. You got to figure out as well how long you can focus. And maybe it depends on the task. For some of you, it's 10 minutes. For some of you, it's 30 minutes. For some of you, it's 45 minutes. Longer than 45 minutes is very difficult. I believe that longer than 30 minutes is difficult. And then you need at least a couple-minute break where you reset, refresh, maybe go on social media, scroll, set a timer, get on for 5 minutes, and then get off. I know it sounds stupid and sounds simple, but most won't and can't do it. And they can't manage their time and they can't focus and they don't have more success. So slowly just begin to schedule everything you possibly can as you're looking to make this happen. Don't multitask, as we already talked about. You want to become the architect in your life and in your businesses. You see, the architect is designing everything. The firefighter's reacting to everything. And it doesn't mean you aren't going to have things that you're going to react to. Of course you are. I give the example of my kids. I could have a whole plan and all of a sudden my kids throw up or something. Well, of course, that's like, well, there goes that day. That's okay. But how much more are you going to get done because you planned everything out. I already talked a little bit about the accountability studies and the power of accountability. Something you can do besides the Google form is you can do daily text and find a battle buddy. That'll also help you out tremendously so that you can focus, and then utilize the planner so that you do review your week. Do it every single week. It'll make a big difference so you can measure and improve. And then the last couple of tips is make sure you set deadlines for everything you possibly can, right? Deadlines of when you're going to get it done, because otherwise it's someday and then it never gets done. Create deadlines. I actually have, and it will change, but I have my entire year mapped out, whole year. Now, of course, things can adjust and change, but I want to be the firefighter, not the architect. And the last thing I'll tell you is yes, it's massive action, but I want massive, deliberate action. I don't want just action, deliberate action. And that's what this entire training was about, was massive, deliberate action to help you in your business focus and make things happen. And that's what I want from you, is that massive, deliberate action. So take advantage of the planner, take advantage of this training, take advantage of the Google form, and let's make it happen. Any questions that you have, feel free to email thegameofnetworking@gmail.com, and they'll make sure that they take care of you.